Okay, well, we're recording now. So welcome to the May 14th, 2024 Tangerine SDR, Clementine SDR, HamSCI technical session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week I've been getting ready for working at Dayton in the TAPR booth. We're going to have some demonstrations to show and should be interesting, but I'll be headed over probably Wednesday and hopefully see some of you there. Next on the list is Michael, AAK. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, thank you. Greetings to everyone listening. Back to you, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list is Bill Engelkey, AB4EJ. Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks, Dave. Nothing to report tonight. Back to net.
Okay. I will have to say Nathaniel, who wanted to be here tonight, sent out a message saying that he's still working on the grant proposal and he thinks that's higher priority to spend his time on tonight. So next on the list is Dave, KD0EAG. Go ahead, Dave.
Hello. Not a lot to report. I went up to my farm up in North Missouri over the weekend and kind of scoped it out as to see, and it looks like it'd be a pretty good place to put some equipment. And I was kind of pleased. It's got some old electric poles that are unused now, and there's a big barn, and there's all kinds of places to put some antennas, and it's reasonably far from the highway and other things. I think it'd be a pretty good site, and I found I could get adequate bandwidth using the GLINet type router over LTE4 for most of my interests. There also is apparently fiber, at least amazingly, out in the middle of nowhere. It's never been run all the way up to the house, apparently, as far as I can tell. But these rural digitization of the rural communities is having an effect. Looks like probably has the ability to have pretty good internet, even though it's 6 miles from the nearest town, and that isn't much of a town. So less and less every day. But anyhow, that looked promising, and so me and Michael Howen went up there and had a look at it and thought it had potential, I think. So that's it for me.
Very good. Next on the list is Jim, K4BSE. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening, all. Well, I didn't do a lot of operating this weekend. Didn't hear much about anything on the bands. I got a new toy the other day, one of the RX888 software-defined receivers. Having a little bit of trouble bringing it up. I'll get there, but I probably got a software configuration wrong right now. I can talk to the radio, but can't get anything out of it. Now, if anybody has any tips for me that I could contact you sometime, I would appreciate it. But I will get there. It's just taking some time. Back to net.
Okay. I'm sure there's somebody that can help you. Next on the list is David, N1HAC. Go ahead, David.
Good evening, everyone. Getting ready to come out to Dayton and give our presentations and all that. And find out all the things I didn't know I needed. And hoping for good weather. I see we're going to get thunderstorms on Friday, I think, but Saturday should be better. And was really excited about the geomagnetic storm this past weekend. I spotted it really early, as if you're watching the HamSCI email, that was pretty neat to get an alert, go and look at the Discover and ACE solar wind measurements, say, whoa, that's big. And then
Yeah.
minutes later, the K=8 alert comes in. So, and may not have been a Carrington, but sure is a reasonable facsimile thereof. And I'm sure we're going to be analyzing this one for a while. Did get to see Aurora here. Had to go for some sucker holes in the clouds, but it was quite spectacular. And I was able to alert my brothers on the West Coast, and first got pictures back from my Seattle brother and then my Bay Area brother. So that one was spectacular, but I'm sure we're not done for this cycle yet.
Yeah.
These spots are not going away. So anyway, I think that's about it. Looking forward to the trip back to net.
Yep. And we had sightings of Aurora here in mid-Missouri, which is very unusual. Okay, next
Well,
on
and of
the
course, Angel,
go ahead.
who we know at Arecibo, sent
Yeah.
pictures from Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it made it very far south.
Okay, next on the list we have Gary, AF8A. Go ahead, Gary.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I've just been busy packing up for the Hamvention. Got a big pile of posters and banners and all sorts of marketing collateral to promote HamSCI. So that's about it. Looking forward to good weather, like everybody said. That's what we need. That's what we're hoping for. Anyhow, look forward to seeing everybody down there. Back to net.
Yep. Next on the list is J, WB8 SPI. Go ahead, Jay.
Good evening, everybody. Like everybody else, I'm just getting ready for the pilgrimage. And unfortunately, here in the Metro Detroit area, I didn't see any aurora. Now, I don't know if that's because of light pollution or it just never made it down here, but oh well. Yeah, and about noise on the HF bands, 20 meters was not very good. The bands were just yuck. And I was also keeping up on things with Dr. Tamitha Scove, Whiskey X-Ray 6, Sierra Whiskey, the space weather woman. And she called it and said things are going to be pretty lousy. So nothing new there. Changing the subject, I'm assuming that we're still somewhere around the 57 million data points mark from the eclipse. Does anyone have any updates on that? Or is that just about where it's going to be for the final count? 57 million plus or minus fudge factor. So otherwise, I'll see everybody there at the pilgrimage. Back to net control.
Okay. I don't know about the number. Maybe Gary, do you know what the number is?
Well, I wouldn't expect it to change because if Bill, I use PSK report and the other databases, and those obviously are locked in for those days. So we should have a good number.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
And next on the list is Noel, WB0VGI. Go ahead, Noel.
Yeah, good evening, one and all. Yes, spectacular aurora here, covering the whole sky, and everybody in Minnesota got a real good show. We had our first spike about 1 p.m. Central Time, and that was a big enough spike to set off my K indexes. worked at 8, and so everybody in Minnesota was ready for it. But also, I modified the magnetometers here, in that they are a new and updated version of the RM3100 magnetometer. So if anybody needs the access to continuous data, I have the GMAG FluxGate magnetometer, and then the FT100 or FC100 surge coils all operating here, and everything was pretty spectacular. Good luck at HamFest to see if we can get some more interest. Take care.
Okay, very good. Next on the list, let's call on Scott, and he usually, no mic tonight. Okay, thank you, but glad you're there. And then we have Tom McDermott, N5EG. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, good evening, Dave, and everyone in the group. We saw barely just a little bit of the aurora here in Southern Oregon. Southern Oregon is very far south geomagnetically. It's kind of like about Oklahoma in terms of geomagnetic latitude, so we don't see it very often. But there was a barely distinguishable reddish, purplish haze in the city, and that was about it. So I think the first time here for me. I've been working on trying to get the A9Q radio tools back and running again, and I've been manually walking my way back up the commit tree for KA9Q radio, KA9Q web, and the GR-RTP, GNU radio module. And I've gotten them all working if I work far enough back in the commit tree. I do have a couple of bugs still. Digital RF broke, and I don't know why. And so I have to troubleshoot what's going on there. And I've not been able to get audio out of KA9Q web, and that used to work. So I still have more work to do backing up the commit tree. We had an email thread, and I proposed perhaps it would be useful to tag a working set of commit numbers with a tag version, so that if folks want to build a cooperatively working set of tools, they might have a common nomenclature to use to know what commits to check out. So that's been the week, and back to the group.
Sounds good, Tom. Thanks. And Rob was cooking dinner. He was in here talking at the beginning. So I think we're at the end. Nathaniel, for those of you, anybody that's late, Nathaniel said he would rather work on the proposal tonight than show up here, even though he asked us all to show up here. And so no Nathaniel tonight, but he should be at Dayton.
Just a brief interjection here, just a second, but because I wanted to respond to Tom, I've been in dialogue with Phil. He has made his latest commit produce audio on K9Q web. He had to reverse engineer or something, but
Okay.
Anyway. So
yeah, I saw the comment. It wasn't in the commit tree when I last looked at it. And so anyway, I've got it mostly working by backing up to about April 1st, March 31st in the commit trees, and gotten a collection of stuff working.
And Phil just came on.
Yeah.
Yes. So Phil, do you want to make any comments?
Comments about what?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I got some questions. I want to know what happened to the geomagnetic field measurements over the last weekend.
Well, some people say they have them. I don't know who.
I mean, did it like
I
burn
mean,
out the
Bill, are you
magnetometers or
getting?
anything?
Bill, are you getting any? Have looked at any of those?
No, I have looked, Annie. Was that question to me?
Well, you collect a lot of the data, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, well, but anybody can get to it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
on the website.
So I
And
haven't looked at it. I was just curious to know what's going on. I mean, this should have been a good workout, I think, for the sensors, right?
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was
Mhm.
looking at the world magnetometers, and they were going nuts. And the magnetic field of the solar wind itself was incredibly high. As soon as this pulse came in, everything else that they blow up on the on this plots went down to practically nothing because of auto
Yeah,
scaling. And
yeah,
this was like normally, you might get 2 nanotesla variability. We got like 50 nanotesla in the solar wind itself. It was
yeah.
huge, absolutely huge. And the ground magnetometers picked up a lot to very low latitudes. It's going to be interesting to see just how far down
Yeah.
the magnetometers picked it up. But
And HF got kind of weird.
oh, well, I had a total radio blackout here. I don't know about anybody else,
Yeah,
but I
me
was,
too.
I scanned WWV and CHU and all, and I never lose CHU completely. And
Oh,
it
you're in
was
the
gone.
east somewhere. CHU is often hard for me, except in the evening. But
Yeah. Well, where I am, I'm not that far from Ottawa, and 7.85 is like almost always there. 3.33, very reliable. The only one that isn't is the 14 megahertz one. And
yeah,
then WWV being all the way out in Colorado, that had wiped out almost immediately.
yeah. I was surprised
So
actually at how much still got through. I mean, there were times I heard, well, I was listening through
yeah,
KFS. I was
well,
using video.
it was like a selective filter.
Yeah,
Different frequencies would come in at different times, and you never knew which.
yeah. KFS was hearing Radio New Zealand I don't know, 40 dB SNR or something like that for a while. Also hearing other signals, and then like within a minute they would just disappear. This was at night, wasn't a blackout during the day. It was at night. So um some weird stuff going on last weekend.
Yes.
I just wonder if anybody heard about any problems with the power grid.
No, I haven't heard of any. And
Haven't
my partner works for the power company, so I think I would have heard something.
Yeah, even I'd like to see, maybe IEEE Spectrum or somebody do an article on how they averted blackouts. So there must have been some, considering how
There
severe it
was some difficulty with GPS.
was there? I
I
didn't see
believe
any
so.
problems, but
I think I did hear some minor problems, not big
Yeah,
ones.
well, because the electron content was huge from all of this, it really super ionized the upper atmosphere.
yeah.
GPS was
I
having some
I
difficulties.
did look at the fixes on my QESDR of my own location, and they didn't vary that much.
Yeah, they
Maybe
may not
a
have.
little more, but not that much.
Just means all the delays were equal.
Um,
But yeah,
yes,
who knows?
yes. Yeah. I mean, it's only a single frequency. Well, actually, it's using Galileo as well as GPS, but it might only be a single frequency. I don't know.
Yeah, I
What
think
is
those
the
are all
GPS
on the same
receiver in
L1.
QESDR? Is that LL1?
Yeah,
Okay. 1542.75 or something like that.
yeah, 1575.
That 42. Okay.
But yeah, we'll be analyzing this for years. Oh, an interesting note is that they're talking about naming it after a woman in the space weather field who just passed away.
Oh, the name of
Normally,
the event, you mean?
Hmm?
The name of the event?
Event, right. Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
say normally it gets named after like the date or something, because the last one of this size, even close to this size, was
Halloween.
the Halloween 2003.
Right.
So over
Right.
20 years ago.
Excuse me a second here.
And
Hello.
Jen Gannon, I think is her name. 45 years old, just
Hmm.
suddenly passed away. And a lot of people in the field knew her and talking about naming the event
Yeah,
in her honor.
that's good. Anyway, I'm only on here for a few more minutes. Any questions about KNIQ radio? It seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, well, that's what Tom was asking about. He
Yeah.
was having trouble bringing it up.
Okay. I've been
Yeah,
working more on
I
the
had-
dynamic stuff and it seems to work.
yeah, I had most everything broke. I went back to about April 1st on the commits and rebuilt from the April 1st. And most everything seemed to be working again. I had
Well,
one
what
thing.
was the problem? What broke?
GRRTP wouldn't work with any of the recent commits, and KA9Q.
Sorry, what's GNU radio?
Yeah, that's Franco's RTP module in GNU radio.
I don't know why. Because the
Yeah.
problem is I don't know how people are using it. They might be using things in an unexpected way.
Yeah.
Like K9Q Web was using the tag field, which I really didn't intend to be used for that purpose.
Yeah. So I backed up and checking out commits and got a pretty much working set back together again.
Okay.
And that's where, although there's still some more granularity, I can dive down into the commits to come up with a later working set. But I was thinking it might be useful to tag commit numbers on the various apps that have been tested to work together. And that way, if someone wanted to try to get two pieces to play together, they could check out that particular tag number.
Yeah.
And have an idea that it's been tested.
I've never really liked to generate versions. I mean, as you probably have noticed, I like to just continuously update things. I try not to break things. I mean, if I notice that I try to very quickly fix it. But the problem is, if I make some change that breaks something that's talking to it because it worked in an unexpected way, I won't know unless somebody tells me.
Right.
Like IQ Web, the audio going away. I fixed that.
Tagging is a very lightweight process in Git. A tag is just a synonym for a commit hash. That's all it is. And so it's real easy just to add a tag name to a commit hash. There's virtually no effort involved. Doesn't affect the development process.
Right. Okay, but I mean, should I be doing that? Because I won't know what everybody else is using my code with. I mean, maybe it's the application people should say, okay, I've tested it with this version and I know it works. So they should add the tags, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best process to test and then recommend particular commit hashes for a particular tag number. And then and that's it. So the person who has control over the Git repository just has to add a tag and then push it to GitHub, and it'll show up.
I can certainly do that. Or I mean, there's a limited number of people who need to do this. I can add access. Right now, I'm the only one that has access to the repository. But if there's a limited number of people who need to do this, I could certainly open it up.
Yeah, so I think it might be good to discuss on a reflector or something occasionally a test status. And someone can say, I tested the following 3 packages and propose the following commits to have a particular version tag.
Yeah.
Not a release, just a tag.
Okay, a tag is fine. It's just the point
just go add the tag.
Right.
So it's
that's fine. But of course, if something does break, I need to know about it right away so we can work it out.
Yeah. So I tried to have that discussion on the KA9Q radio reflector.
Yeah.
KA9Q Web and GRRTP were both not working. And so I'm going to spend some more time working through the Git hashes until I come up with what's the latest hash in each one that all 3 packages work, and then maybe propose that as a tag.
Okay, as long as you don't leave them there, I want you to be able to keep updating them if my newer fixed word versions work.
Right. Well, see, so for example, if I find a Git hash, 41B9A61A, works with every package, I could say, tag that commit.
Right.
with the
I
version
understand what
number.
I understand your proposal. I'm just saying,
Okay.
you know, you got to keep it up to date so that my later work actually gets used.
Exactly, exactly. So periodically, every few months, someone should retest the packages, say what works, and then propose a new set of tags.
Okay. Well, that's fine if people
I
are
think
happy
that's
with the
lightweight.
code as it exists. I mean, it's fine as long as people are happy with the code that exists. I am adding new features and fixing bugs, so
Right.
just
Well,
somebody.
yeah, it's always, that's always the problem. You can't keep various different unrelated packages in sync. That's
Right. I
always
know.
a problem.
Yeah. But
And
if
so that's where
something
you just,
stops working, I need to know right away.
okay,
Like Thank You Web's audio not working. I figured that was because he was using the tag feature in a way I did not intend.
okay.
And I went and changed it if those of you were using, but there's a lot to work would be yet to be done on KNIQ Web. And I don't know if the original author, John, intends to do anything more with it. I don't know him. I haven't talked.
My feeling was he wasn't. Dave, do you have a question?
No, no, but I have wondered the same thing. And I had thought about looking at it myself, but I haven't got some of these other things.
Because if he's going to work on it, you know, I don't want to take it in a different direction than he is. He wants to take it, but if he's abandoned it, then you know it's open for any of us.
Well,
we can ask him.
yeah.
Yeah.
John is kind of in retirement mode, so he
Oh my. I mean,
yeah, but I mean he did all these different projects, and this was like a 1 month, let's see if I can get it to work thing.
yeah.
And I don't think he had a big
I mean,
intention on maintaining it.
I hate to say this, but it's clearly a hack. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wonderful one that works actually surprisingly well, but it would take me a lot of time to dig in, try to understand what he was intending to do and where he maybe was intending to go. And, you know, it's also just to understand how to write a web server because, you know, I don't do that very often. You know, I mean, I discovered the bug for those of you who didn't read the mail, the bug is that in the audio thread, he waits for the socket to listen to come up. He waits on a condition, a positive condition, and nothing ever signals it.
Yeah.
So, but that only happens if it isn't already set. If the socket has already been read in the control packet, and then the audio thread starts, there's no problem. But I think what happens when I split things into multiple threads or rearrange things that, you know, ways that should not have mattered, suddenly it did. So of course, people are going to blame me for that, right? When it's not my fault.
Yeah.
I mean, the code was simply missing. There was nothing there to signal that condition, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there were other issues as well. The display, a lot of display problems on KNIQ Web also arose since I did the videos on them a few months back. So things have all changed, and that's to be expected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can look at what's there now. I know there don't seem to be many commits to that archive. Franco owns it. I pushed up my changes a few days ago, and I just want to find out if anybody else is working on it, including John.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm undecided whether I want to start digging into this, because once I get sucked into it, it's going to take up a lot of if I do, I'm going to get sucked into it. It's going to take up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are other things I could be doing on the core K9Q stuff, K9Q radio stuff. Okay, who's going to be at Dayton, by the way? I will.
I'm going. I'll be in the TAPR booth.
Okay, and somebody's going to have hardware. It's running K9Q radio?
I will have hardware running.
Okay, so I don't actually, I mean, I will probably bring hardware, but I won't actually have to.
Yes.
Because I'll just be able to answer questions about somebody else's hardware that's running, hopefully.
Yes. I was planning to run air spies on VHF just because of the simpler antenna situation.
Bring a attenuator. My experience is my AGC, I have a friend at AGC on the air spy, is not perfect under very strong signals.
Okay.
Sometimes it can cut way down and not come back up. And it's something I need to revisit. And what usually fixes it, the only time it appears is when you're keying up an HT right next to it.
Right.
And what usually fixes it is to stick an attenuator in there on the antenna. which will usually, I mean, which you probably want to do anyway with
Right.
that much power.
Well, I thought it'd be interesting to look at all the VHF traffic at Dayton. All
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
should be okay. It's only if you keep a radio right next to it. Will
Yes.
this have a problem?
Yeah, if I find a good Faraday box to put everything in.
Yeah.
John
Well, those
Ackerman's been through
those buildings
this.
are steel, right? Those the halls in which we have yeah, the buildings on that fairgrounds are steel, aren't they? They're metal.
Yes.
Yeah, the problem is inside those buildings, there's what, 1,000 handy talkies per
Right.
per square meter of floor space.
Yeah. Well, my bigger problem is that because it's inside, I don't often get good cellular service. And if I'm trying to demo one of the online sites, because, you know, come on, I can't bring a good HF antenna with me. I have to
Right.
do a
Yeah.
demo of something online like KFS.
So,
You know,
so
if I'm
John
gonna demo
Ackerman,
anything, it might as well be KFS or KPH. Look, I mean, my antenna at home is nothing to really brag about.
Yes.
yeah, John Ackerman's done a ton of HF and VHF demos at Dayton. He's a
Uh-huh.
good guy to
Yeah.
ask because I think he's slugged through every one of these problems.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'll see him.
By putting up an antenna at Dayton.
Well, yeah, he's run wire underneath the tabletop benches.
Oh.
And I think he found the sensitivity was better with it disconnected than with it connected, things like that.
Better him than me.
Yeah.
So,
But, you know,
he's
if
a
I'm
good
just
source
trying
of
to
advice.
try and impress everybody with an all band FT8 skimmer, I can just go on KFS and do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, my demos are not that flashy, except maybe the people know can understand what's going on. Like if I run a tail minus F on Verilog ft8.log, and every 15 seconds it gets this wall of text that goes scrolling by. I mean, most people wouldn't know what the hell that was, right? But
Yes.
hams who understand FT8 might appreciate it.
Yes. Well, we'll have some examples there.
Good. Okay. So I don't really have to plan on bringing anything. I mean, I
don't
will,
think
but
so.
I won't have to actually set anything up. Good.
Set
Believe me.
anything up.
That is
Bring
wonderful.
everything you might think you are going to leave.
Oh, I always do that. But then I
Take
end up with an
no
overloaded
chances.
suitcase. Jay, I always do that and end up with an overloaded suitcase, and all the stuff comes home and I take it out and said, I didn't use this. I didn't use that. But I carry all this stuff around.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's part of the ritual of the pilgrimage.
I know.
Yes.
Look, I'm not just going to Dayton. I'm also continuing on to Baltimore and then upstate New York. Okay. So I got to lug this thing all around with me. Like
Yeah.
last year, I bought a handy talkie at Dayton because it was cheap, one of the digital ones. I then lugged it to Baltimore and then to Germany.
Oh,
We
geez.
stayed in like 8 different hotel rooms, including a cruise ship, and then I brought it back to San Diego. It might as well have been a brick.
Well, you just need to have a friend that's going straight home to California.
Well, my wife's accompanying me. She's not going to Dayton, but she's going to join me in Baltimore.
Yeah.
She's now KO6 EKG, by the way.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, she passed her test without really expecting to, so we were both quite happy.
Very
She's a
good.
nurse, by the way, and that call sign was just sequentially allocated. That was a cool call sign for a nurse. She likes it.
Oh, very good.
What's their call sign again?
Kilo Oscar 6 Echo Kilo Golf EKG.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, that was cute. And I figured out how to get a printed copy of the license without that official copy thing down the back.
Very good.
Well, when she designs her QSL card, that's going to be, that.
Well, somebody already suggested and sent over some graphics of an EKG that she could use as a background for a QSL card.
Yeah, put her name, comma, RN.
First, a week went by before I said, come on, Kimberly, you haven't even used your license yet. So I gave her one of my Belfungs and made her go to the other end of the house. And we finally had to do so with her new license.
There you go.
Yeah. She's talking about POTA, but not much else right now. Anything gets her on the air, I'm happy with.
Yep.
Well, we have another fraternal sister to welcome into
That's
the
right.
organization.
I will tell her that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to be somewhere at 7 local That's about 25 minutes from now. Have any other
Yeah.
questions about KNAQ radio that I could easily answer? Is anybody using the dynamic channel create feature without, because Rob I know is. Rob and I have been working extensively on that. I have a command called tune, T-U-N-E, which will either retune an existing channel or create a new one if it doesn't already exist. And you can set all the important parameters that way. So you can use it in shell scripts. And Rob's intention, which I think is a good one, is to get rid of statically configured channels altogether and have just his shell script setting up all the whisper channels he wants to listen to.
Mhm.
And you can get rid of a dynamic channel, by just tuning it to 0 hertz and going away. And it will 20 seconds later get rid of itself.
Oh, very good.
I've spent some time working on the API for this. I hate doing user interfaces, but I enjoy doing APIs and trying to make them as elegant, as flexible as possible. I don't always succeed, but I try.
Yes.
So no questions about that? Nobody's working on that
Mm,
other than Rob?
Rob's
Okay.
cooking dinner, he said. So
Yeah, I see. I figured he's the most listening. So, okay. All right. Well, I'll see all you guys at Dayton then.
yeah. Look forward to
Roger that.
seeing everybody.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we don't have the talkative people on here.
Yeah, I'm going to be winding it down here. Just got some other things got to get done and start getting organized for the pilgrimage. So 73 to everybody.
Okay.
See you at the pilgrimage.
73.
Yep.
My
73.
recollection is Nathaniel said no call next week. Is that right?
No call next week because it's Monday after many people are traveling home Sunday.
Okay.
So,
Well, we'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
okay.
All right.
73,
you.
good night,
Hey.
everyone.
73.
See you. Hey, Mike, I was getting your signals coming through even in some of the roughest turn down from the flare.
Boy, I don't understand it. It's a vertical antenna.
Well, you
very
and
vertical.
you and Dave, I just get both of you guys very regularly. And I'm only about a mile from Dave's house, 2 miles maybe.
Got to be whispered even.
So you're a little bit further. So anyway, just a feedback.
Appreciate it. It's nice to know I'm getting out.
Yep. 73.
70. Oh, did you turn off the recording? Yes.
I'm going to.